Then why don't you bring us back in?
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Okay, so welcome back to part 2 of Cost of Goods Told. I'm Connor. I'm joined by Darren Lafferty and Terry Andrus, who is going to kind of take us through what it takes to do a cook-off team here. Why don't you give us a little bit of background if you don't mind, and tell us when you started.
Okay, started back in 1987 when my old high school football coach convinced me to come in and wash dishes for a cooking team. And so that many years ago, I worked my way through the BBQ Cook Off, ended up running one of the largest cooking teams out here, and decided to start my own about 8 years ago. This is our 8th year. And so we do this for charity. Everybody that's on my cooking team is volunteers.
So what's the name of your cooking team?
3S Cookers.
Okay, all right.
Where does that come from, if you don't mind me asking?
All right, so the 3S was a brand given to me for my cattle by my great-grandmother, which was her grandfather's brand.
Oh,
and
cool.
So the 3S means the third Simmons. So we've tried to make it something else like supporting student success, but it just didn't really ring true. So the truth is it's an old cattle brand.
Very cool. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So,
So I started my own team 8 years ago, 3S Cookers again, and we do this to raise money for charity. And so we give all of the net proceeds that we raise out here from sponsorships to the Calf Scramble Committee. And so over the last 7 years, we've given them nearly $400,000.
And for people unfamiliar with the Calf Scramble Committee, could you explain, what that committee does and
Sure. So if you've never been to the rodeo, this may be a little difficult to understand, but if you've been to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, right before the entertainers come on, they get all these calves and they turn them loose with all these kids and they chase them around. They have to get a halter and put it on them. And if they bring them back into the square, they get a calf scramble certificate. And so with that, they're able to go to a breeder and buy either a heifer or a steer so that they can show and hopefully make it back to Houston and then make the sale. If they make the sale, they usually get quite a bit of money, and it helps them towards their education. So these kids, I think, start 13 years old as a calf scrambler. And then all the way up until they're 18, and so, or 17 rather, and they're able to show these calves. And we've had kids that have done really, really well with their calf scrambles, and I can't say the lady's name because she asked me not to put it out there because she's real shy, but she was one of our first scramble kids, and she called me and said, "Look, I really don't want to sell my heifer." And I said, well, okay, that's kind of the point. You're supposed to sell this so you can get money. She goes, I think I can make money with it. And I told her, I said, why don't you put together a business plan and come see me? She goes, okay, but what's a business plan? And so I asked her and her parents to come by, and she wrote down exactly what she was going to do. They didn't have a whole lot of money. So we reached out to feed companies and we reached out to breeders to get her heifer bred. And they all did it for free. She started a very lucrative little business in which she paid for her college education and her sisters, and they continue to give back by giving calves that they're raising off of this herd that they have now to kids that can't afford it. So
very nice.
Really good stories come out of this.
That's huge. That's awesome. And I mean, there's a long history of this rodeo, and to see it grow to the point where it's now second and third generations are starting to benefit from those early forces and the people who were here right in the beginning.
What's so impressive about your story also is that she thought outside the box in terms of, well, I know what the program is and I know I need to sell this, but I think I have a better idea of how I can make more money, right? But even more impressive was you guys embraced it. Put it down on a piece of paper, give us a business plan, let's talk about it. And successfully now she's been able to give back to, not just take care of herself. Right. She's giving back to the community and continues to give back. So that's good for you guys for recognizing it. While it's different, I think it's a really good plan.
Well, that's the reason everybody out here volunteers their time, because they know they're helping and they're giving back and helping a kid grow. Once you get an animal like that, world changes for you. That's like having a baby.
Yeah.
You have to get up and feed it and water it and walk it, and every day you have to work with that animal to be successful. So it teaches kids accountability, fiscal responsibility, because it's not an open checkbook for most of these kids. They gotta, know how to get by on the cheap, if you will, to raise this calf. And so what we're helping do is build better leaders for tomorrow. So,
But I wanted to just add to that, though, is that, for most people who come to the cook-off, they think it's about a party.
Right.
They think it's about getting into a tent and having a good time, and it is. That's some of the activities that go on, but it's the fundraising behind that process, the sponsorship. Why do they sell these tickets at the door to get into the tent? What are they doing with the money? So it's really impressive that you guys have chosen that direction. And I don't know if they all do that, but I would applaud you for saying we're going to give 100% of this back to charity that it belongs in. So congratulations for that.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank the team, because these guys are not guys that have 2 weeks out of their life just give away for free. These guys work for a living, and they take, some of them, an entire 2 weeks to come out here and do this. They get paid nothing. Their reward is what they see with these calf scramble kids. And so we stay involved with the kids throughout the year. So they have to give us updates and send us stuff. And it's interesting, though, some of the kids, send you a short update on how they're doing with their calf. And early on, you find out which kids actually sit down and think about it, and the other kids think they can throw something together, and I'll send it back to them and say, look, you've got misspelled
That's very cool.
words, you've got all this stuff, and I CC their ag teacher and make sure that they get it, and a lot of times I get back, thank you.
Less is better. When it gets kicked back, less is better.
Yeah, well, it's a true life lesson where it's like, look, you can't just get by
But they
doing
need that
We
lesson.
They
If
need
you don't
it.
get that lesson now,
No.
some other adult's going to give it to you when you are an adult, and
Right.
it's not going to feel too good.
And it's different coming from a third party where it's not your teacher, it's not your parent, it's somebody that you're like, hey, look, this is important to me.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? He's giving me a slap on the wrist, like, okay, get your act together. So that's good.
Sure.
Now, it would be one thing to know if your team was like, okay, we'll do it 1 year, but you got guys coming back year after year after year, which is huge, because that you think, you just 2 weeks out of the year. Think about it, like I don't have 2 weeks just to give, unless I've really shaved out some time for it. So that's awesome that you've got
Great
crew
guys.
like that.
And I've known most of these guys 20 plus years. I don't know why they keep hanging out with me.
It must be the barbecue.
It is. Well, it's the drinks and the barbecue. You said something earlier about, people think this is about the party. Well, that's a big component to it. And so Joe Merca, who is our chief cook, and I have a deal. I don't tell him how to cook, and he doesn't tell me how to put on a party. And so we worked really well together over the years doing that. But we try to make this exceptionally fun for all the people that donated their money. First, give them great food and give them a great party. You do that, and they want to keep coming back. And so we actually have outgrown our tent space here. We can't take in as much money as is offered to us. So last year, I think I turned away a little over $16,000 in donations because it would have been overcrowded in here.
Wow.
And that's no fun for anybody.
Right.
And this year it was $20,000. So I'm begging you, barbecue committee, if you see it in your future, to help us expand by at least another 20 feet, and I can take on that extra money and give it right back to the kids.
There you go. That's awesome. And
That's a great request, number one.
absolutely. I'm gonna do some video, and I've been walking around and things like that. I don't think people understand the size that actually is inside these tents. From the outside looking in, you may not be able to, but you've got, the band, the stage set up, you've got your cooking area, you've got a trailer back there as well, you kind of got a prep area, you've got a nice bar over here, you've got another bar over there. It's awesome. It's a great setup.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. It's obvious this isn't your first year.
No.
You've learned a lot since 15.
Right. So what's funny is in a lot of events you have to put on, you have to have team meetings and get people together and say, okay, you're responsible for this, and you're responsible for this, and I'm going to take care of this. And inevitably something falls through the cracks. We don't have a team meeting.
Really?
We've been doing this so long, everybody knows. I send out an email with a checklist, and everybody goes, got it, and that's it. And we don't worry about it anymore, and it just happens. Everybody has their own specialty in the things that they do, and they bring it to the table, and it's amazing to me that you can coordinate something like this and never have a meeting, just one email.
Well, it's obvious you've selected the right team members, number one, and you've built that team, and that team can almost speak to each other without having to open their mouths up, right? So they know who's going to cover what, they know who's going to take what responsibilities. That makes that so much easier for you.
Yeah, it's
So that's
great
what it
having
sounds
great
like.
people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right people on the bus.
So what have been kind of the milestones that you think you've seen since that first one that you did up until now, or either milestones with your team or milestones with the cook-off in general? Because we've talked to the competitors, the guys who are competing on the cooking level, but on the production side or on the putting the tents together, putting everything, all that stuff. What's been the biggest change, or some of the cool things that have kind of come in?
Well, 8 years ago, I got one space. It was 40 by 40.
Okay.
We now have 3 spaces, so as you can tell, it exponentially has grown. But I remember that first year, in order for us to have both great food and have a great party, we didn't have enough room. And so what we did is, after everybody ate, then we took all the stools and the tables and moved them all to the side and made a big dance floor. My stage, I stood up on top of 2 stools, much to the chagrin of some of the ladies on the team. They were worried I was going to fall and break my
Your
neck.
insurance agent.
Yeah. So, but from that to a live band with 5 members, we've got all kinds of Texas country artists just pop by. They love coming in here. Cool. We've had everybody from Bree Bagwell to Kevin Fowler to Jason Allen.
Cool.
Jody. I mean, it's just fun. And you'll see tonight, if you happen to come back, how many people are in here and how much fun they're having, and the dance floor is packed and everybody's enjoying themselves. And we don't just do country music. We also have a guy that I've been affiliated with for 25 plus years. He's a DJ singer.
Okay.
And he's the one that gets all the young people out on the stage. And I'm not on stage, but on the dance floor. I don't know the rap songs or the dance or all that stuff, but he does.
Okay.
And my kids are now old enough to where they come in here and they enjoy it, and they're like, Dad, you should have Ruben do a little more, because we're really not country guys. So
a lot of the teams, when you're walking around and so forth, they've got the security at the front door. There's a lot, not necessarily red tape, but it's kind of sectioned off and so forth. But y'all have been really cool with letting us set up in here, interrupt everybody. It's a big production, and I think people think, they just put up the tents and they have a good cook-off and party or whatnot. But I saw it yesterday. They've got to get food cooked. How many people did you feed yesterday?
300 plates.
Yeah. And
tonight we'll do over 400.
Take photos and set up and use this as kind of base camp and things like that. That's huge, And I first, thank you so much for that. And then 2, with all of that, you've got your hands full each day with something different.
Everything you have to orchestrate.
Right.
Day in and day out.
I wish I could tell you I was a conductor up on the podium and I've got the little white stick and everybody's following my move. And that's not how it works. They know exactly what they're supposed to do. We have a pre-prepared menu. They know how many pans of brisket, how many pans of ribs, how much potato salad, how many beans they're going to serve. They have all that. And so in the morning they get here and they start that production. And it's just like, it's a beautiful symphony without a conductor.
That's
So
great.
it sounds like you have that number. Hey, let's prepare for 350. Right?
Yeah, we'll prepare for tonight at least 400 and maybe more. And so once we do the initial serve, people have sat down, a lot of people will come back for seconds, some even thirds. I've seen the thirds come back through, but we leave it out and let them go through it. And, for the last 2 nights, I go by each table. And I ask the people, how is the food? I want to make sure everybody's taken care of. That's my job, is to kiss babies and shake hands. And so
Just look pretty. You look pretty.
Well, I wish I could look pretty. I'm glad this is not on television right now. So I've got a face for radio.
Yeah, but I would, between the 8 years, right? You have data to support, and I hate to use that word, but
Oh, yeah.
we know approximately how many people show up on Thursday, then Friday, then Saturday. So last night was 300. So now you'll prepare for 400, and then when they're done, they're done.
Yeah, and so what we do every year after cook-off is over, everybody takes notes. Some of us keep a little notebook handy and write it down as we're going along, because as we get older, we forget things. So we write all this stuff down, and so then we come back next year when we're trying to make our order, hey, we need this, hey, we need that. The only thing that data is not accurate on at all is beer. And I can't tell you,
You just triple the beer order every year?
No. I mean, it's like, 1 year it's going to be Miller Lite, then it's going to be Bud Light, and then it's going to be Coors Light. And last year it was Ultra. We started out with 40 cases of Ultra, and I thought, that'll be plenty. No. We went back twice, and I think we ended up with 120 cases of Ultra. And we got through all the beer, but you never know. 1 year it's going to be something different. And if it's cold, our beer consumption goes way down, and our whiskey goes through the roof. So, your hard liquor. But always the staples here are beer, vodka, and bourbon.
So the first time that you kind of upgraded to the bigger space and so forth, was it every day running to the store to go get more stuff, until you finally got it? Or
no, we had a pretty good idea. As I told you earlier, I'd been a part of a really large cooking team, and most of my members were a part of that team as well.
Okay.
So we have a really good idea about what it takes, serving size per anticipated attendee. So once you get that down, you're able to make your orders and get your stuff. And I don't think at any time we've ever run out of food where people really didn't get enough.
Right.
So I always, you err on the side of, I'm going to put a little more out there, and those guys that come back for second and thirds will take care of any overages. So.
Right. I was going to make a joke earlier, and I just can't let it go for some reason. So you had to increase the Ultra amount of beer. Is that when skinny jeans were in?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I think they did some great marketing, because I saw some big burly cowboys drinking Ultra.
The goal is skinny jeans. No, it's not.
Don't we all want to be skinny though, right?
I mean, look,
Well,
I'm
not you. You're in shape.
I'm at the age now. I've just embraced what it is. Right? I didn't come here to drink Ultra beer.
Yeah, my doctor told me the other day. He said, "Son," he said, your height doesn't support your weight." And I said, "Okay, how do we make me grow?" Up.
All right, doctor, make me taller.
I don't believe in those charts.
So when you send out the email and so forth and everything, we've talked to some of the teams, and what is it? You start on what day did you start? I guess
Take you through from
if
start
you don't
to
mind.
finish.
Yeah,
okay.
if you don't mind.
So a week prior to cook-off, we have our food delivered out to my ranch, and it's delivered on Wednesday. And so a day prior to that, people are in there going through all of our equipment to make sure everything's functional, it works, everything else. We take the food order in, we season our briskets, and the next day, on Thursday, we start smoking briskets. And we'll smoke briskets all day, and during the day, we're seasoning ribs, getting them ready for the next day. And then once the ribs go on, then we pin chicken thighs and get them ready to go on the next day. On Sunday, prior to the week of cook-off, we get everything loaded up, and if everything goes perfect, which it didn't this year, it's not a hassle at all. We've got everything under refrigeration. We've got it according to health code. So we pre-cook everything that's served here except for sponsor night steaks and baby back ribs and our show meat. So if everything goes correctly, we get all this stuff loaded in. Our cook trailer comes in on Sunday. Our false front, all the other stuff that we have to do, our refrigeration, all of that stuff comes in on Wednesday because we're supposed to have power by Wednesday.
I know the supposed to.
Yeah. Well, you plan for those contingencies. So we do have generators here in case something happens with the power, and it did this year. And the people that provide power were really good. I mean, within 3 hours, they had another generator unit out here, big one. And it wasn't just us. There were multiple teams that were affected. So, but when we're out here on Wednesday, then we set everything up. make it look really pretty inside, and I don't do any of that. It's all the ladies. They are just fantastic. They've got an eye for how to make this look like something other than a white tent.
Right.
So as you can see around, we've got brown
looks
draperies
fantastic.
and orange, and so kind of the theme of the hunting. We've got antler chandeliers. And,
I like it. It's really nice, actually.
Yeah. So, and then Thursday, it's on. And we have our sponsor night, and they get out there, and this year they cooked 240 16-ounce ribeye steaks.
Oh.
And there weren't any left over. So,
Yeah.
and they did layered potatoes and all of the great stuff. But, that's the week. And so you go Thursday, Friday, and now here we are today on the final day. Everybody's worn out. I mean, because you start your morning out here about 6:30, and, you're here till 11. So now the biggest party night of all is when they come in tonight, and then at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, all of this stuff will be coming down. We have to be out of here by noon this year because they're starting the rodeo on Monday, so all this is going to become the regular parking for the rodeo.
Yeah.
And so they're going to hold us to it. I know that it's going to be incredibly packed trying to get out of here, so we're anticipating that. We've got our guys coming in at 5 a.m. to start tearing that down and loading it up on a trailer and praying to God that we can get it out of here before everybody else gets in, because it becomes a parking lot. It's almost immovable trying to get it out of here. And when we leave, we have a contest coordinator that comes by and makes sure that we haven't left nails or anything else on the floor. Everything's picked up. There's no trash, and it's all gone. And it's amazing, the production. Now, that takes coordination. I'm just one tent. There's 400, 500, 600 teams out here.
Right.
So that's for everybody. It's got to be out of here. So imagine the logistics nightmare. It's like going to a Texans game, but everybody, instead of driving a car, has big trailers trying to get out of the parking lot.
And so then after Sunday, do you just hibernate for like a week, man? Like, seriously?
No, we go back to our regular jobs.
Oh,
and, so we take everything back Sunday to my ranch, and if it's wet, which it is now, we're praying that Cheetah Johnson is telling us the truth, that it's going to be pretty tomorrow. If it's wet, we've got to take it all apart and let it dry, naturally dry, and then put it all back together and put it away. So we're praying, Cheetah, for really good weather tomorrow.
Shout out Cheetah Johnson.
Right. For those who don't know, it's our local weather woman.
As you're talking about the breakdown, and this is a parking lot. I mean, I'm looking. I see parking spaces everywhere where there's a dance floor.
Right.
But you don't recognize that. You don't see that when you walk into and there's tents lined up, right? You've got 3 of them. Some people have less, some people have more, but they are literally butted up together.
And to tell you how close we are, I think somebody went over and talked to our neighbors. They normally, by this time, you can feel the bass from their music. It feels like it's punching you in the chest. So I'm very thankful to you guys for letting us do this podcast in here without the undertones of a hip hop party.
Well, we're thankful to have it because it's a really nice space. It's huge. It gives us plenty of space. You've got all the outlets and everything that we could need. So thank you so much. And
Thanks for having us, for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Is there anybody that you want to send a thank you to or a shout out to?
Recognize any of your sponsors, any of your volunteers?
Yeah, I mean, one of the bigger sponsors that we have is Cargill Meats, and they're the largest protein producer, meat producer in the United States. They're from up in Minneapolis, I think, or Minnesota. But they're our largest sponsor by far. They go above and beyond just providing money to come in here and do this. They give our calf scramble kids, they also own Nutrina Feeds, so they give them discount coupons for buying feed to help them with their feed. And they also look at these kids for potential employment. Those that don't necessarily want to go into college, they're looking for quality people who know agriculture and want to go to work in that. And they also look at the ones that do go to college, and they stay in touch and try to hire them to go work for them. So they're providing a lot more than just a check.
And if you were talking about how you've actually had to turn away sponsorships for this party. But if somebody does want to get involved with the Calf Scramble or, help that organization, is there another way that they can do that?
Absolutely. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is constantly looking for volunteers. And if you just go to HoustonLivestockShowandRodeo.com, I think that's what it is, you can find out more information there. If you want to find out more information about how to donate to us, you can go to our Facebook page, 3S Cookers. I think we have a website, 3scookers.org.
Okay.
If anybody wants to get involved, there's more than enough opportunity to get involved with the rodeo. There's every kind of volunteer organization, from security to breeders, greeters to, cutting horse committee. Whatever floats your boat with rodeo, you can find a place to be.
Yeah, and they typically you don't need a lot of experience, right, where they need volunteers.
No. I mean, they'll take people as long as you're motivated and ready to go and will do the work. They'll let you volunteer.
Reliable transportation and get here.
That's it. That's it. Not even that, man. I think you can get a bus over here. So you're
well, that's reliable.
Well, thank you so much for taking so much time with us and talking with us, and again, using this space and everything. I know you've got your hands full, and actually, before I let you go, I do want you to tell the story, because, with all this media that's going around, for you to take time to sit down and talk to us, that means a lot, because we're just getting started with the podcast. This is episode number 2 for us.
Outstanding.
But you've been pulled aside for some other events, for some other live segments and so forth. Why don't you mind telling the story about?
No, absolutely I don't. Usually we get a TV crew comes in here. This year Telemundo came in. I wasn't much help to them because my Spanish is very bad, but thankfully we have people that can speak Spanish. And then KHOU 11, which is one of our top 3 local news agencies here in Houston, came in, shot a little segment right before I go and do all my announcements to talk for the donors and say, hey, thank you for all this, and here's what you're doing it for, and here's how much money we've given away, and we're about to serve food. And so I shot this little segment, and I thought, I never have a drink until after I've made my announcements. And there's a reason for that. You don't want to say something inappropriate on a microphone that you can't take back. It's hard to gobble those words back up. So immediately after doing this, I think I've already done my news deal for the night, run over, and I get my first drink, and I'm about halfway into it, and they come back and say, hey, we want you, they like this segment so much, we want you to go live. And I go, like right now? And they go, no, at 10. Mind you, it's 6:30. I haven't drank all day. Everybody else has been having a lot of fun. So I learned something. You look at a tent differently if you haven't had a cocktail and everybody else has, especially later. So we did the segment, and they tried to make me line dance. And I'm a dude. I'm not a line dancer. I couldn't make it happen. And so it went live on TV, and I was praying to God nobody saw that part, the dancing, and my phone exploded. My daughter goes, boy, you can't dance, Dad. So
well, thanks for telling me what I already knew, right?
Yeah. I'm a dad.
Water's wet, by the way.
That's what I do. That's what I do. I'm a dad. That's funny. That's a good story.
That's great. So thank you again.
You guys for coming in.
This is absolutely wonderful. Is there anything else Cargill does for you?
Oh, absolutely. In addition to providing the money like I spoke about earlier and giving kids discounts for the feed, they also have a envelope in which they provide contact information for these kids, especially if they need to get with somebody about nutrition for their animal.
Okay.
And so they're able to call directly to Cargill, and these people are there to help a kid out to say, well, here's what's happening with your animal. Here's what we suggest. Change to this type of feed, or you need to do this to your feed.
That's an amazing resource.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And to take that much time and energy and resources, for a company, that's
well, they
huge.
don't just donate money, right? They give time and energy, and more importantly, knowledge, which
expertise.
is key, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're so committed to this. On Thursday night, donor night, they bring in their entire executive team. I mean, this is a big corporation. And they come sit in a tent with me and all the rest of our team members. And then this year they're busing in 80 people. They did last night and tonight. So they get that many wristbands because they give that much money.
Sure.
Right.
But they're utilizing them, bringing their people and letting them see so that the next generation of folks at Cargill will understand what this is about and how it's helping their organization and helping kids.
That's very cool.
Well, cool. We're going to take a quick break, hear another word from our sponsor, Duke's Premium Meats, and we'll be right back with part 3.
Part 3.
Duke's Premium Meats Home Delivery is your one-stop shop for premium quality meats delivered right to your doorstep. Delivering all over the United States, Duke's Premium Meats offers you the best in quality by personally working closely with local ranchers and butchers. Duke's Premium Meats offers everything from fillets and lobster tails to heart-shaped ribeyes to Texas-raised Wagyu brisket. Get amazing meat delivered right to your door by using Duke's Premium Meats. Visit their site at www.dukespremiummeats.com.